This video will set up the console solo to work with a key wedge. We're on the master screen, and we're going to go to the solos page. And by default, the way the console's set up when you restructure it, solo, when you're not soloing, the stereo bus comes out of the output going to your Q edge. You don't want that. You don't want anything to go to your Q edge when you're not soloing. So you hit this no solo button and deselect master bus. Now that won't happen. The next thing you want to do is assign the solo bus to go out to your Q wedge. So you do that on your direct outs and outputs. And you patched whatever hole is driving your Q wedge. It's probably your local ports on the back of the console. So you do local I/O, local line. And you can see the stereo bus is automatically sent to line 1 and 2. We're not doing stereo mixing, so we're going to override that. We could send it somewhere else, but I'm going to do line 1. It's going to deselect the stereo bus, and now stereo 1 and 2 is being fed by our Q mix. Note, there's this little green volume control. That's your Q edge level. That is default to this knob right here. Solo level 1. Go back to the green knob. See? That's my Q edge level. Pretty sweet. That's kind of important. One other thing, and just show you basic workflow on the console when you're doing monitors. When you go to your your auxes, and I select an aux, well, first off, I want to bring it up, and I select aux 1, it automatically puts all my channels, doesn't matter which bank I'm in, they're in sends on fader. So that's really cool. I can set up different mixes, just like that, automatic sends on fader. That's cool. And now it's automatically soloing my mix, which is cool. Something you want to do, and we just set that up to do. Things you're going to want set up over here on solo is you're going to want it on singles. You don't want to listen to multiple mixes at once. And you also want it on AFL because you want to hear the relative level. If you've got one master down by 6 dB, you want it to be solo after the fader. That makes sense. Do note, you still can PFL over here and check individual inputs. That's very useful. It is AFL at this moment, but you are listening to the channel input. You're not listening to the mix. That can be useful in some situations. But note that you've lost the ability to select over here. For example, if I go to my input page and I go, hey, I want to EQ the bass drum on channel 1, and I select the bass drum, I'm automatically soloing the bass drum. And in most situations in monitor world, you don't want to solo the bass drum, you want to solo a mix. But how can I select channels without automatically soloing? Well, they don't give you a separate solo and mix button. So here's the solution that I found. Go to the master screen, go to options, and go to the faders tab, and turn on fader assigns channel. Now, you can solo a mix, listen to it, and you select a channel by touching the fader. So I can touch a fader and then do my EQ. Or I want to do channel 10, I select channel 10, fader, and do EQ. So you stop using the silver buttons to be select keys and you start using them only to be solo buttons. So that's my video on setting up monitors and Q wedges.